Hello everyone, welcome to an in-person, if you can believe that, Short Chute show. We are here in London. It is the day after the race and there is plenty to dissect. We have one old hand here on the show, Chris McCormack, who's got, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see he's got the reddest puffer jacket from Bahrain Victorious you have ever seen. He's not making him any faster though, although he does keep saying all the time, mate, I'm just getting into training, mate, I'm just getting into training. Hasn't changed a bit in terms of the shape of him. Anyway, we'll see if that's correct. And someone who's a lot fitter and a lot happier after today's racing, or yesterday's racing, Michelle Dillon, who gets an invite by virtue of the fact that she dominated and her team scored more points than any team has ever scored in one round. 148 team points, absolute dominance. We'll start with you, Michelle. Okay. Ladies first. How are you feeling after yesterday, and how much did you stick the knife into the rest of the team managers after the Sharks' performance?
Absolutely buzzing after yesterday. We had to get a head start because if we didn't, we could be in big trouble. We don't want to have the same situation that happened last year come NEOM, where we got pipped at the post by 2 points by the bloody Scorpions. So we need to get a head start, and that's what we did. And yeah, fortunately, we've got a very strong British lineup here with the Sharks this year, and we made a plan, and actually we executed the plan very, very well. So I'm absolutely delighted.
Yeah, we'll unpack what that plan was.
I didn't sleep, actually. I'm that delighted.
What's that?
I didn't sleep.
You didn't sleep?
Oh, no. I was like buzzing all night. Got up at 4:30,
she's up telling
went to the
everyone
gym.
to listen.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Got up
at the
4:30,
bar,
went
propping the bar up.
Well, I had a few drinks, and then to celebrate, as you do. You got to celebrate your successes. If you don't, well, you know,
who else is
life goes by a bit too quickly. And then I went to bed thinking, oh, I'm going to get an early night, and then I just sort of laid there under the eyelids, and then got up at 4:30, went to the gym.
Oh my god!
And I'm still awake.
Give me a break.
So there you
Give
go.
me a break. Macca, Scorpions, not at the other end. After the men's race, they were. I don't. After the women's race, I think you'd scored about 4 points. Yeah,
17 points.
I
think that's the
that
lowest
all?
ever score.
Lowest ever, I
all?
think.
17 points, yeah.
Yeah, but came back again, so you must be reasonably happy. Not that you're not really managing the Scorpion. You're still obviously involved, but MG's in charge, which is
We all shake our heads
stressful
at
thought.
times.
But overall, it was a great day's racing with you in the commentary box alongside me.
Yeah, it was tough watching the women's race. I was pretty quiet in the early stages of the commentary box because I was sitting there trying to spot where our team was. We knew we came in relatively depleted. We lost Hayden, we lost Vince, we knew Cassandra wouldn't be here, Georgia Taylor-Brown out. They were our main GC contenders for the team this year. We've been planning all year for a big assault, and you know what we always find coming into Super League, it's towards the end of the season off some heavy racing, and it's arriving here in the condition to race is part of the puzzle that all the athletes have to face. But that'll change next week in Toulouse, which will be good. We'll get Hayden back, and Cassandra will be back. So hopefully we can get onto the points chase. But it was a tough day watching the women, but they fought on, you know. Nicole van der Kay had a great race, and for a lot of the young athletes we brought in along, the young juniors, for them to experience Super League racing in that team was amazing. We had a team meeting the night before. Jan Frodeno rang in to wish the team the best, and that was a real buzz for them. And I think building that whole team culture again, it's hard when a lot of your team leaders have been depleted from a team, and they usually take on the mantle of lifting everyone else. So, you know, that fell on Henry Schumann's shoulders, who had been on injury for 2 years. So, you know, overall, we're pretty happy. You know, we're expecting to be last team out of the rank on the results this weekend, and we ended up 5 short of second, and well down on the Sharks. You know, but I think everyone. But we're looking at it, going, okay, we consolidated the losses. We knew we were going to lose a lot of points. We had to get what we could, and we had some issues there with Sajiv Sagia having a flat tyre, and he was going after the bite points for us, so we didn't get those points. But he's in good form.
Would have put you in second, mate.
Would have put us in second, yeah. So, you know, things went against us, and overall, you know, when you looked at the form guy going in, I think every team, speaking to Tim Don and the other team managers, we knew the Sharks were the stacked team, but times were changing. It's not going to look like that in Toulouse, and it's nothing worse than a fall from grace, Michelle, when you've been so good at the start and you have to explain why you're so bad. But overall, a good day's racing. We're quite happy.
Yeah, damage limitation mode for the Scorpions, not so for the Sharks, but a week is a long time in Super League racing. It's time for the headlines now. And Macca, we start with you. I was sitting with you at breakfast this morning, and I was like, okay, I need a headline from you. And the answer was fill the bucket, and that's exactly what Taylor Reid did. Not just he filled his own personal bucket in terms of finishing on the podium, but he also actually filled an actual bucket after the race as well. So how stoked was he though, Taylor Reid?
Oh, no, he came out of your team last year, Michelle. We traded him across to the Scorpions, and he put an amazing performance. Going in, he's so calm. We were sort of asking him to go after the swim preems, and he said, "Oh look, I'm riding all right as well, and I'm in pretty good form." Had no expectation of him doing what he did yesterday. I think it was one of his best performances. So I think he filled his own bucket, as you said. But if you get to watch the race, he probably vomited 2 litres of spew. So that's what he took out himself.
He is such a talented athlete. Like
he's just a
he
hard kid.
he's hard. He's aggressive
man.
when he races. You know, he swims, obviously, his strengths, but I think his running's improving as well. And I think every year he comes back to Super League racing, you can just see that he's just so much more experienced from the year before.
Yeah.
And you could see that this year coming into round 1. Usually he wouldn't do that in round 1.
His run was impressive. Like, we're watching it on the commentary.
Yeah.
He ran in with Alex G and Johnny Brownlee. Like, I mean, they're 2 of the best runners in triathlon. Alex just decimated the Paris Test event.
He's good at the short distance as well, Taylor. He's obviously like there's a difference between, you know, as a runner, like between that short, sharp type of racing who can tolerate the most lactic acid, as opposed to let's go the distance. You know, in Olympic distance, it feels like such a big contrast.
But this was the enduro. So had it been a triple mix where he got to reset and recover, you know, I could understand him being at the front all the time in the run or being part of the mix, but that was a rolling enduro where you're running after, you know, constantly running. There's no breaks, and I was expecting him to fall off in that second or third race. I actually said in the commentary, I think this is his final run. If he can hang tough in his second run, his swim will keep him in the game and he'll establish the podium. But I think
his biking was the thing that pulled him.
His
swim
and biking was amazing, but he did not lose the run.
He knows how to handle the bike though. Around those corners, I saw him get gapped, but then he really closed that gap in on the corners real quick, you know, and he hardly touched his brakes. And I think that's what got him back into the race and got him back into contention. And then once you're there, he just knows how to hurt himself.
Yeah, he fought. He definitely filled the bucket. But you get your chance, go and look at the thing, because it was a solid spew.
Yeah, the interview grab. I think you can see it on the socials as well. I think it's very funny. I think reporter Becca was like, "Oh, you got an empty bucket there with you?" He goes like, "Yeah, this is my second bucket, bro. The other one's over there. It's already full. I'm doing 2 buckets."
And he talks like that too, bro.
Oh,
that's a
bro,
New Zealand thing too.
Yeah. Sweet as if it wasn't doing 2 buckets, then this wouldn't be Super League racing, would it, bro? Yeah. And then he's like, he calls it churliness. I don't know what that means, but I think
he said that to me at breakfast. So I thought it was a thing you could get on the buffet. Chill.
It's like being hardcore.
Okay.
He's churly.
I was looking around for
full of
churlies at the buffet. Where do you get the churlies from?
Churly whirlies.
Brilliant.
All right, Michelle, your headline, and this is your free kick for just telling us how good you are. Basically, yours is feeding frenzy.
Do you really want to hear it again?
Oh, can I block? Can I step out now?
Yeah, but people who aren't listening to people who are just tuning into the
rest
podcast,
of the world hasn't heard it.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone else has.
Yeah, we've been hearing it, but. It's feeding frenzy, and why not? I mean, we knew you were going to be strong. Everyone said, you know, in London, the British team looks amazing. The women's race, 5 minutes in, 5 sharks and 2 warriors.
To be honest, even I was surprised to see that. I mean, I think, yes, we had a really good pontoon draw, and that really gave us it seemed like a massive advantage on the rest of the field from what I could see in both men's and women's racing. But what I could see at the front, I kind of expected perhaps a blue frenzy at the front in the men's race, but not in the women's race. I mean, they all exceeded, I think, even their own expectations. Maybe not Sophie. You know, she was pumped before the race. She was kind of shivering a bit. I was like, are you cold? Like, is everything okay? Because sometimes when you're a little bit nervous, you tend to, like, the teeth start to shatter and stuff. And I thought, oh, no, we might be in trouble here. And I knew that Liv was maybe going to go for the swim preem as well. But when I saw Soph take control of it and then they're all lined up behind her, I was just like, bring it on, what a start.
Yeah.
So, it couldn't have been better, really.
There's huge gaps too. It almost looked like, we said it in commentary, looked like a team time trial with a
Yeah,
couple of Irish
really
people thrown in.
And I love the new blue suits this year as well. I think they look fantastic. They really stand out. And
have you tried one on? I was
going to try and
secretly
get one sneakily, but
I think if you've probably earned one now.
You should just ask
to be
one.
I'd racing one of
You
those.
should just ask one, Michelle. They might give you one.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Get Dylan on the back.
If you'd have
They
got
could even
150
chuck me
points.
in there if they wanted to. I'd be well off the back in the swim.
Now tell me, you said earlier that and then let's talk about the men as well while we're talking about the feeding frenzy, because obviously you had 2 people on the podium.
Yeah.
It looked for all money all day like Johnny and Alex would fight it out, which
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
But you blessed Johnny's shoes.
I blessed Johnny's shoes.
What is that about?
No, look, I'm a little bit of a spirit. Like, no one really knows I'm quite spiritual and stuff like that. And, you know, I believe if you ask from the gods,
Like,
no, look, I'm not that religious or anything, but if you just ask from above, like some help, like
Put it
just a
out
little-
to the world.
Yeah, put it out there. You know, you put it out there. You say, look, you know, and so what happened was he gave me his running shoes. At the familiarisation, and I'd held on to them, and then I took them to my room accidentally, and then I was like, oh God, I got Johnny's shoes, and then he texts me like, have you still got my shoes? Because I'm a bit worried, like he's looking for his equipment, and apparently he's a bit, you know, OCD with his kit. He wants to make sure everything's in place. And I was like, mate, I've got them, don't worry. I took a photo of them and said, look, they're in my room. I'll bring them to you tomorrow. Anyway, so I thought, I took them out of the packet, and I thought, just give them a little bit of a, you know, bit of magic.
Cuckoo's nest.
Let's bless these shoes. Bless the shoes. And I was just like, listen, you're going to have a bloody good race tomorrow. Talking to myself in the room to shoes. If anyone can listen at the door.
listen, you left shoe. You are going to have a good race.
Run.
Don't look at me like that.
And I gave him back to him. I said, I blessed your shoes, mate. He just himself laughing. He
Had
just
you,
was
had you
hilarious.
told me that was Max Stapley's shoes or whatever, it was Johnny Brownlee. He always goes.
It's true.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
but-
come
what he
on.
does.
but he
So you're
didn't
going
have-
to claim Johnny Brownlee's performance
No,
because you
no,
blessed
no.
his shoes?
Yeah, he had a real breakthrough performance, didn't he?
For
Go
sure.
work that
It's
out,
all,
Alex.
It's all about
you-
the blessing. It's all about the blessing. No, but look, as you know, it was a bit of fun, and yeah, maybe it gave him confidence, and he went out there and
That's
said,
what it was.
Maybe it was.
I don't know.
That's what it was.
No, look, the guy stormed it yesterday. I was a little bit worried about Alex, you know, being a little bit further back, but then he rode super well.
Yeah.
Geez, he knows how to handle a bike, doesn't he?
He does.
He really does. Like on those corners, I was like, and that was one of my one.
He had little Dixon with him though, didn't he?
Yeah.
When there was one of
He
them,
did have Dixon with
and he
him,
got
yeah.
isolated. We thought, because they
Wow.
put the hammer in. I thought, that's going to be the gap.
If
Yeah.
anyone's going to work, though, it's Dan
yeah.
Dixon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 That's
He
that's
loves
an
it.
ally you want.
Yeah.
But you're right, Alex.
But-
He railed that bike. He hit
Oh.
those corners real quick. He had
Absolutely.
done that one down the ramp.
He risked it for a biscuit, and that was one of the one-liners that we were saying in the meeting. I said, guys, you've got to risk it for a biscuit. You got to, and they were just like laughing their heads off at me, my team. They were like, why are you coming out with these one-liners? I was
These are
"That's
Australian,
what-
I think.
That's
Risk
what
it
we
for the
do.
biscuit.
That's what we do. Risk it for-
110%.
Yeah, risk it for a biscuit. You know, take the shortest line, and he did that. Like he was
yeah,
like,
definitely.
But you know, Alex comes across actually, you know, being the team manager, comes across quite placid and sort of like laid back.
Till he pins the number on.
Till he pins a number and makes a different animal. I was like, wow, I'm seeing a different personality. It's like two personalities in one there.
Johnny's similar though. When you contrast him to his
Yeah,
brother Alistair, they're very
yeah.
different. Johnny's quite reserved and
Everyone's different to Alistair.
But you
Yeah,
know
They're
what?
all Johnnies.
Do you know
Everyone around
Johnny's
is
a
Do you know what was-
lovely like.
Apart from Max yesterday, so when we had him lined up and we called them out like one by one, I looked at my team, I thought, I've got the most petite team here. Everyone else looked like they were monstering over my team. I was like, I hope we don't get pummeled in the swim.
yeah, there
But
was
we
that-
didn't.
Yeah,
Do
you're
you know
right.
what I mean? I felt like there was like, I looked at them, I thought, in stature compared to the rest of the teams, we're kind of petite.
Yeah,
The
there
men-
was
the
one
men.
shot where the Big Easy, we start calling him the
Yeah,
Big
yeah,
Easy
yeah,
in
yeah.
commentary,
Yeah.
Max Stapley,
Max
because he was
Stapley,
doing
the
it
Big
so
E.
easy. And then he was running with about 4 other people. He looked like a dad running for the bus with his kids. Like he was just like, run. All these like Dan Dixon's like, beep, here I come, here I come.
Dan's tiny.
Yeah,
Alex
yeah.
is tiny.
Yeah.
Johnny was tiny. I patted him on the back. I was like, these guys have got no. Like, there's that guy. What's that guy in your team? No, sorry, Tim's
Sanchez.
team.
Sanchez
Was
is
it
tiny too.
the big guy that can swim that came out second to Stapley?
second to Statley.
And the
Oh
Eagles.
yeah, and he went back.
Eagles,
he was
the guy-
Eagles guy.
Oh, an Eagles guy. Not
Yeah,
an Eagles.
I
In the
thought-
first race, he was big on the
He's
bike.
Neil
massive.
Holm.
No, it wasn't Neil
No,
Holm.
sorry.
I can't believe-
Anyway, I looked at him. I was like,
Oh, Marcus Day.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Day, that's it. Yes,
and,
yes.
And
He actually rode the bike pretty solid too. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
someone-
thought the same thing. He looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He looked
Someone
like a
said
little
to me-
Blumenfelty,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
he?
someone was like, he's going to smash it in the swim. I think it was Nick from the Warriors. He's like,
Yeah.
he's such a good swimmer, and that I was like, oh my god, he looks like built like for a swimmer. But then obviously we had Max, and obviously Max exceeded what
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely
Max
thought
had
he
a
could
cracker
do.
race.
But
He did.
He had a cracker of a race.
Yeah,
I was so
yeah.
happy for him. But yeah, my guys were tiny. I was like, oh my god, I hope we're not going to get pummeled out there, but we didn't. so that
Didn't
was
one
good.
bit. My headline is Lehair and Le Tortoise, because Lehair, she ran away from everybody. We didn't pick that until the last 500 metres.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, she was threatening all day. She went off the back, Jeanne Lehair, and ran away across that gap. which we thought maybe she burnt too many matches. And she was surprised herself. She's like, I came down from altitude. I just didn't expect me to be able to do this. What I really like about the enduro sometimes throws up what is a surprise result. And this is another one of those examples where, a whole time we're like, Potter, Caldwell, Potter, Caldwell, Spivey, maybe not. And then bang, here comes Jeanne Lehair at the end. I thought it was awesome. And I thought she was really excited to be there. She was running, 3:02s, I think, in the last one. So she got faster and faster as it went on. Every run was faster than the one before. And she was impressive, no?
Yeah, her first race, she had a really poor start and was back a bit and was able to come up with that first run. And she started to show her run form in that second race, remember? And I think she benefited from the fact that she didn't have to do a lot of the work because the Sharks were chasing down each other. Sophie, so she was able to benefit with, as you said, we're looking at Potter and Caldwell and Spivey, and she was able to sit there and I saw that in that second run we called it. I said, she's looking magnificent.
Yeah.
And
she kind of hit on the bike, didn't she?
Yeah, she was able to get away with that. And enduro was about that.
No one really noticed her. To be honest, I didn't notice her when I was, like eyeball deep in the elastic bands on the bike, like trying to do trying to do the shoes. I looked up and I thought, where'd she come from? Because all I saw was blue, and then all of a sudden she's there, and I could almost sense Tim was getting really excited. I thought, what's he getting excited about? And I looked up and there she was.
Yeah. Well, you saw Spivey, they were looking at Potter. There was a couple of times where Beth had a really tardy transition on that second round through. And, the fatigue starts to set in, those mistakes amplify. And I think both Sophie and Taylor hit the gas and really pushed it. And Lehair was able to get dragged up and not do anything. And Potter had to do a lot of that work to close that gap. And, that slowly ticks along, and by that third race, you've emptied the tanks, and
But I tell you what, for her to win and not even have the short shoot was even more impressive, wasn't it? Let's be honest, because you had, two solid runners there that got the short shoot, and she still managed to have the strength to really close that gap right at the end there.
I'd like to speak to Beth, because it looked to me on camera that the short shoot, when Taylor and Sophie took the short shoot, that was what broke Beth Potter.
I think, she was just hanging on.
She was hanging on, and that gap
I think mentally
was
too,
mentally cracked her.
Sometimes it's hard, like it's when you see that go away from you so quickly as well.
When you see your team manager desert you after all the hard work you put in
Don't forget that,
give the short shoot to your major opponent on your team. Yeah, and you're like, you know what, why do I even bother? I'm out. I'm done. Finished. Anyway.
Come on, Jean.
Paper, mate.
Come on,
Jean.
Yeah, that's it. Jean, come through.
I had to call it, and when I called it, I felt like I made the right decision. And
it was
it's hard to make that decision, and obviously you're not sure how. If a little fairy, then this is where you want the spiritualist to come in and tell you.
I thought you would have had someone to talk to.
I thought someone was going to tell me, but they didn't. She didn't have the legs. Although I did see she was a little bit nervous before the race and stuff, and she does tend to do that anyway. But
No, I think it was the right. I think it was the right call. Had it gone to plan, you put them both in the mix.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was the right call.
Beth's the one with the run
legs.
So.
It was the right wrong call.
Yeah, I mean, obviously turned out to be 100% incorrect. However, at the time,
hey,
right call.
You know what's going to happen? Next time I'll give it to Beth, and then she won't need it, and Sophie will need it. It's just the way it goes, isn't it? It's racing for you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're lucky because not only do we get to talk about Jeanne Lehair, we also get to talk to Jeanne Lehair, and this is a little chat I had with the race winner just moments ago. Jeanne, welcome to the Short Chute Show. You sit here as the leader in the championship as you go into Toulouse, which is kind of a home race. You obviously race for Luxembourg now, but how are you feeling now that you've had nearly 24 hours to soak in what was your first race win at Super League?
So yeah, I'm still super happy, and now I start to be like, okay, this really happened. But it is still a big surprise, and I don't feel like I'm the leader of anything because I know things will probably change next week. But it's true, it's like home now for me to lose since 2 years now almost. So it will be special. So I've been in Paris, it was special. Here it was special because I won, and Toulouse will be special, I hope, in the good way as well. And it's a good start of the series. I'm really happy with that, and I hope I will continue the kind of same way.
As that race unfolded, we spent a lot of time in commentary talking about, is it going to be Potter, or is it going to be Spivey, or is it going to be Caldwell? And then you bridged a gap at one point. So you were off the back a little bit, and then you ran up to them. And we thought maybe that you had burnt your matches. But then,
I was thinking the same.
But your runs got faster and faster, and you seemed surprised at the end that you continued to have so much left in the tank.
Yeah, a bit weird, like in good way, because I felt really good at each run. And yeah, I was saying maybe it's the 10, now it's almost 2 weeks I've been down of altitude, so it's probably the moment I should feel the best. And so on the first swim was like really not good. I didn't struggle, but just I was not fast enough, but not struggling. Then I did the first bike completely alone, and I was, I'm holding the gap, but for sure I'm probably more tired than them. So I was, okay, now you need to like take the gap before the start of the second swim to at least be in the fit. So I did a big effort on the first run, like the first lap, and I was, at least if you are doing shit individual, you will maybe get some point for the team on the run. And so I caught the girl after the first lap on the run, and I could a bit chill the second one. And then I was like, okay, I'm back in the race, but each time on the bike I was doing hello, goodbye, so it was, oh my god. But yeah, I felt again good on the second run, so I was, maybe it's a good running day. And I think the group was shorter and shorter each leg, so when I was the 8 or 10 on the bike, I was doing a big effort. When I was 6, still, but less. And at the end, we were 5. So it was not super good, but still not too bad. But I think this circuit with a lot of corner was hard, but helping me a bit, because I think on the long straight line, the girl would have run away and I would have been really far and I couldn't have done anything on the run. But yeah, I felt really good on the second run as well. When I took the girl, I didn't know who would have the short chute, except Taylor, because I know it was Wire and Sharks. But I didn't know if it was Bess or Sophie. And Bess was a bit behind them, so I was, maybe she had the short chute and then she will turn with them. And when I saw she didn't, I was, okay, maybe she's probably just tired, so that's good for me. And yeah, then I did an effort to get back with the girl. It was a bit headwind, so I was, okay, we just stay behind a bit. And before the U-turn, because we were a bit disturbing each other, I was behind, but I saw it was a bit fighting, so I was, okay, I think I need to do the U-turn in front if I don't want to be disturbed. And then, yeah, I don't know, I felt good, so I was, okay, just try to push a bit, but still keeping a bit. And after the cobblestone, I put another kind of attack, and it was the good one. I saw the video after, like, Sophie's directly watching behind, so usually when you start to watch behind you, it's like you are not focused too much anymore on the front. I didn't know at this moment, but on the video it was a bit obvious that I was going to win, but during the race I was watching behind me several times just in case, because it's so short distance, you never know, like if you start to chill a bit, maybe she will believe she can come and she will attack again and pass me when I will be, and so no. So yeah, I have tried to stay focused until the maybe 50 last meters, and then I enjoyed.
Yeah, you went quite early. You kicked quite early on the cobblestones.
Yeah.
Earlier than we've seen other people do the same thing. So was that like a plan at that point, or you just thought, I'll just see where we're going to stretch it?
It was not at all a plan. I think I was just, okay, I catch the girl after the short shoot, so on the paper I'm faster than them, at the moment at least. And I was just trying to, with the U-turn, you have to stop, then you retake the pace, so they will have to do an effort even if they are not dropping. And yeah, I think I just felt good, so I was going with the flow, and the flow said me go, so I said, okay, I'm going, and it worked.
That's fantastic. And now obviously you take I imagine a lot of confidence from that coming in to Toulouse, and are you shocked by, you seem like you weren't expecting this kind of result, obviously coming down from altitude. Is that the first time you've been through that, or what else has been different in the lead up to now deliver you this result? And then now, what are your expectations? Have they gone up for Toulouse, obviously?
Yeah, for sure. Like, this season is, every race I'm like, wow, what I just did. It's a pretty crazy season for me. And like, I like the fact that I'm still impressed by myself, if I can say, or at least by my result. And people are telling me, yeah, now you are one. Like, I remember it was maybe after Cagliari, I said to my coach, yeah, for me it's crazy to run faster or like the same pace would be around like girls like Georgia, Cassandre, because they are like, I don't remember how I said that, but they are big name. And my coach said, but you are a big name too. And I was like, no, and I still don't think, for me, I said to Tim, like, I prefer to keep my, like, outsider name and, like, try to just do my life. And if it's good result, good. And if I'm an outsider and I do bad result, nobody knows. So I prefer this position.
Unfortunately, now you're at the top, so you're not in that position anymore, and all eyes are going to be on you now when it comes to Toulouse. And then we welcome people back, like Cassandra, like Emma Lombardi. So all these French women are going to be turning up for Toulouse. It's going to be a little different.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I don't know if the race was easier yesterday to take the win. For sure, it missed some big name. But, I mean, if Ifma is doing well, I don't mind because she's in my team, so it's pretty good. And then I think we will be, like, equal for the support at least because I'm still a bit French and more from Toulouse than them. So I hope people will be on my side. And, yeah, then I know on Super League everything can happen. On the paper, maybe Cassandra, like, she showed it in Hamburg on this distance and on every distance as well. But this distance specifically, she's, like, super, super strong. But last year I didn't finish too far from her, so I'm like, yeah, just try to do the same this year and let's see what happens.
I see what you're doing there. You're putting everyone else up as the big names, and you're just trying to put yourself down. Yeah. We're not going to allow that.
No.
We're not doing that at all. What did you do afterwards? The race, you told me just before, you just took a nice long bath and just tried to soak it up, and physically and literally. But what do you do away from racing? You know, what interests you to get away, and how do you process wins and losses, you know?
Like what I did before? Or?
Oh, and I mean, what do you do? Obviously, last night you took a nice long bath and tried to soak it up, but like generally, how do you wind down after a race? What do you do to get away from racing?
Like, for example, after this interview, I will go to visit a bit London. I took a late flight, the latest I could, just to have time to see a bit the surrounding, because last year I flight like at midday or something. Yeah. So I'm like, you are not going to London every day, so it's nice to see. And since a few years, I'm trying to, like, it's a bit frustrating when you're a triathlete because you are traveling everywhere, more or less, but you are not seeing anything. And, like, traveling is, like, a thing I really like and discover one culture. London is not too different than France or Luxembourg, like, it's still Europe. But, yeah, sometimes you are going to places and you're like, yeah, I didn't see anything. It's too sad. So last year, I remember I just ran to the London Bridge and I came back just to say, oh, I saw one thing. But, yeah, this year I will try to do a to-do list with the thing to watch, like Big Ben and stuff. So, yeah, in general, I like to travel. And then before races, I'm more like doing a coma on my bed, trying to get the sleep I didn't before because I'm not sleeping enough. Sadly, I'm not going to bed very early in general. It's my weakness. I need to work on it.
Sleep's important.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
What time do you go to sleep on the night before the race?
I think, but it was a late race, so it's not too bad. It was like 11:30 or something. Yeah.
Your coach would not appreciate that?
Yeah, usually I'm always answering to him super late, and usually when I ask a question, he just say, go to bed, Jeanne. And I'm like, yeah, but can you answer? Go to bed. Okay.
Last question. Obviously, you're going home to Toulouse. Will we see family and friends there? Will there be a whole bunch of Lehairs everywhere around the course?
So my family, sadly, no, because they came into Paris, and I have brothers and sisters, so my mom went to Metz after Paris to be with me, so now she's going to see my sister. So we need to split a bit. But yeah, we'll have some friends, I guess. Some will be at the French GP in Quiberon, so it's a bit annoying. But yeah, I think I will have people. I hope. Be there, please.
Well, the entire crowd's going to be cheering for you, and obviously the other French women as well. You're now our championship leader. No more flying under the radar for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Jeanne Lehair there, very happy as you would expect, and just a little bit surprised. It's sinking in a little bit, and she will go into Toulouse as your women's championship leader.
She's going to Toulouse to win.
Yeah, she's got something to lose now.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, okay. That could have been a headline.
That's good.
That could have been one of the headlines.
Yeah, it could have been. Regret. I feel like Michelle after she gave the short shoot to Beth, not to Beth. Devastating.
I don't think I'm going to live that short shoot.
Well, we need to find something, some chink in your armour now that you've taken basically all
I know,
responsibility.
see, this is the thing. You're trying to split my team apart. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Time now for the stock market. This is where we look at who is ups and downs, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling. Everyone has ups and downs. If you're Macca, you probably have only ups, I would say, in life. It always seems like he's on the up. A little bit
just
like...
upbeat.
Hey?
Well,
yeah, exactly.
I'm upbeat.
Just like like a Colin Chartier, always
There's
up, always
down,
on the
and
uppers.
there's also widening.
Yeah. Well, the Jack's not doing you any favours. So we'll go with whose stock, Macca, is rising after yesterday. Who do you think is booming on the stock market?
Obviously I had my internal teams that I was looking at, but for me it was Maxi Stapley.
Yeah,
Max Stapley for me.
for sure.
Just seeing him in that first race, set up with the swim, really be aggressive on the bike. He got the world's best on the chase. He never looked back once, and then he executed. He ran amazing. Like Max,
He did. He
was
really
running
did.
tall. He kept himself in the hunt, and the groups didn't close in on him on that first run. He was able to stay there. I just thought I was expecting Max to fade, but it just looked like a much more experienced racer. It's like he learned a lot from last year's season, and he just was magnificent across the board.
Yeah.
I thought his stock is definitely on the rise. He's a great signing for you, and even if you start to lose some of the athletes as we do for injury for the series and things happen, I think Max is a major point scorer, big player.
He's a different animal this year. He admits too, like he's been training really hard. Everything's gone really well. Last year he was at 60%. This year he's at 110%. He's just absolutely psyched, absolutely pumped for this. And yesterday proved that. He talked that he was going to get that swim preem.
He did that.
He really did it. I was like, I'm not sure. You've got McQueen in there. You've got Schumann
We had
in
Taylor
there.
Reid. Like Taylor on the Scorpion
You've
side.
got
was
Taylor,
like,
and I
I'll
know-
get this. I'll get this on the swim. I'm the best swimmer
I
here.
know Taylor. From last year, he was grabbing points for us last year, big time. But he kind of nailed those guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He looked like he was
didn't
going
just
to
beat
from the
them out
first 50 metres.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It wasn't just like he got to that first can and got round smoothly, and then there was a bit of a
He got you your
fight.
swim points. He got you your short shoot.
Yeah.
And he was off the front
Yeah.
all day. And
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, he was
never,
aggressive. He was
never
aggressive.
buckled.
Yeah,
And,
he was
you know,
If it
aggressive.
wasn't for Marcus Day stumbling his ass over the line, he would have got the second short
Yeah,
shoot as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
You remember see that where he's
Yeah.
like he tripped over, but good on Marcus Day though.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
For doing that, he did well there. What about a falling stock, Macca?
Falling stock. Looking at it, it's always hard because you're talking about athletes that you like. I thought, looking at the Eagles team, I thought Kenji Nino. I was expecting a lot from Kenji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was such a big scorer for the Scorpions last
Massively,
year. He was
yeah.
probably our stalwart on the team last year. And looking at the form guide, I thought he was a great signing for that team. I thought Tim was going to get a lot out of him, but to see him eliminated. And I love you, Kenj, but if there's a stock that's rising and falling, it was definitely him, I'd say.
He I was just speaking to him before. So he thinks he's had COVID.
It makes sense because
Makes
it
sense
doesn't
too.
look right.
No,
So
it
he
doesn't
woke
look
up
right
yesterday
too.
morning and he had a resting heart rate of 80.
Yeah,
So that's
that
not
makes
right,
sense because
right?
it's just
He didn't
not.
look right
He
yesterday,
didn't look
for
good in the
sure.
swim. He was way back. He's
Way
such
back.
a great swimmer. Even his
Yeah.
second swim, I thought he put himself back in it,
Yeah.
like Henry Swim. Was never in it.
No.
And never looked to be in it. So it's a very different athlete than we saw last
He
year.
said, I should have taken a page out of Hayden Wild's book and gone, if I'm 50-50, I should sit one out. But it's not in his DNA
It's
to sit
100%.
out a
It's hard
race.
as
He
nails.
loves racing.
He's hard as nails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
hard
so
as
sorry,
nails.
Kenj.
So he's on his way back
Stock
to
can always
Osprey.
rise again, Kenji.
All right, Michelle, it's time for your stock market. It's your first ever stock rising and falling. So as Matt, you saw Macca, normally when the cameras are not on, he'll happily just pile on someone. But when the cameras are on, he'll be like, oh, well, I don't really want to say. Oh, no, he can though. I've heard it. But this is your first one. So we'll go with the nice one first. Whose stock is rising for you? We've had... You gave them to me before, but Macca stole Stapley from you, so you're going to have to pick someone else.
Because that,
I gave you. What about my side? What about Taylor?
But for Taylor has always been a really good athlete because I had him last year. So
But
he's
you
not
never
really
got him on a
rising to
podium.
me.
The Scorpions got him on his
Did he
first
not get him on
podium.
a podium?
No, you didn't get him on a podium.
Okay,
We did
I'll
that.
give you that then.
We
Yeah,
did
he's
that.
rising.
Yeah.
He's on the rise, mate.
Taylor,
Reid, he's on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I think it's a confidence thing for him.
Totally.
It's been
It
3
is,
years he's
it
been in the
is.
series.
Yeah, look, he's like I said, he's a really good athlete, and the guy gives it every bit to
saw
the
that.
line. You can see that because he's obviously
And he's
vomiting
so
at the end.
he's so calm.
He's
yeah,
calm.
Troy, bro, eats his breakfast, yeah.
It means a lot to him,
Yeah, he
He's-
just doesn't
Just
rough.
nothing changes. He's just
Yeah, and he loved Super League. Last year he really embraced it and was a massive team player for the Sharks, and
Yeah.
so he's going to be really valuable, as you already can see, for the Scorpions this year. But yeah, I'd say Taylor Reid.
There's some athletes who, like, you can see there's a lot going on in their mind, a lot of permutations, a lot of nervous energy. Things are simple inside Taylor Reid's head.
Yeah,
it's like, turn up, go hard as possible, everything happens the way it happens, move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Like, I think that's just it,
I
right?
said to him, what's
Yeah.
happening at home? Your mum and dad must, they'll be on the drunk
They'll be on the drunk.
They'll be on the drunk, man. They'll be so hippie.
They're going to open a ton of cans. It's like midnight in New Zealand.
They'll
They're
be
going to
so
be
happy.
smashed. They're going to be smashed. Oh.
I laugh.
People who think that Australian accents and Kiwi accents are the same are incorrect.
Yeah, they're very different.
Completely different. All right, Michelle, this is the hard part. Right? Stock falling. It's not always easy to pick someone. And like Macca, you'll have a caveat like, I really like you, man, but also you suck. Like that's basically this vibe.
Well, I'm used
so what's
to
yours?
seeing,
You can like a
stock
stock, Will, and it can still fall.
I agree.
I like Tesla.
You don't have to sell the stock.
Yeah.
You can keep it. It's just worth less than what it was before.
It can still go back up. Remember, stocks
So,
go up
Stop
and down.
falling.
Yeah, I think the whole of the Scorpion team. to be
Oh,
honest.
give us a break.
I never saw
Jeez.
a red jersey up the front.
Jeez,
I'm used to
mate.
seeing a red
Hang on.
jersey. but-
Sanchez was 4th. Schumann was 7th.
You talking about the women though?
I'm
No,
talking
you're
about the whole
you
thing.
just said the team
Oh,
of the
so I thought you
whole
were
Scorpions.
talking about
team.
the women. But I think
Yes,
the
we
women.
had a
I think
men's
the
race
women-
too. Sexist. There was also a men's race after.
But still, the Scorpions
Okay,
are more prominent usually, but
Yeah,
they weren't as
Can
prominent.
I just defend that stock falling?
Yeah,
'Cause
go on.
as the CEO of the company, I guess, when your stocks fall, we lost all our talent coming in. We've had injuries
true,
and that.
it's true.
So let's see if that stock bounces
For
then,
next week,
the
yeah.
Scorpion bounce. Because
Yeah.
we could be talking a completely different stock falling
Well,
sharks
with
after
stock,
Toulouse.
We know it goes up and down, so.
Yeah, well, so they beat you by 2 points last year. So obviously it's something that you want to make sure that you nail them again.
Absolutely.
So you got 148 team points.
Yeah.
Scorpions end up on 65. You so according to our stats guy Graham's predictions, the Scorpions were a bit better than what he thought they were going to do.
Oh, really?
The Sharks were 25 points less than predicted.
Oh,
No,
poor
they were
team
more.
management.
No, less.
Poor team management.
So
Well,
you
we lost
could have
5
scored
points.
more.
We lost 5 points because Chris Perham got DQ'd and we would have had 5 points
So he's
there.
your stock falling then, is he?
Well, I mean, yeah, you could say...
No, so
it was
basic-
a
no,
mistake
no.
with the helmet yesterday.
Now, what
it
the
came
statistics
back
guy's
undone.
saying, Graham, our statistics guy's saying, is as a team manager, you underperformed. And the Scorpions team overperformed. So
Mate,
you
just
take
look
it
at
that
the
what you like.
leaderboard. Look at the leaderboard,
Look
mate.
at-
Tells you the story.
You win a series, not a round. Remember that. That's what happened. It's that's the
Absolutely.
confidence you had in last year when you just lost it in
Absolutely.
NEOM on the bell, the grand final. Looked the best all year, but cracked under the pressure when it mattered, when the trophies get handed out.
Yeah, thanks
Well,
to like
I had
engineer and
Hayden.
Ryan Fisher coming
Yeah.
11th or whatever it was.
I had Hayden in that team, and he didn't win in NEOM. He cracked it, but he's now your team. So you deal with that.
Speaking of Hayden Wild, considering riding from Andorra to Toulouse on Thursday or
It's
Friday.
only 200k, bro.
It's that'll be sweet. He sent me a thing. He's like, it's all downhill, bro, once I get over the hills in Andorra. I'm like, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
No, you would think it's a good idea.
Let him ride.
You would think
Let
it's a
him
good
ride.
idea. My stock rising is, and you can probably debate this, but I'm going to go with Fanny. She finished 15th. She scored a championship point. She's 15 years old. I think
There we
that's
go, 15
absolutely
points.
insane. Fanny Zelai's come here, eyes like overcoat buttons, looking around at all her competitors.
Oh,
Her dad's
she's
here
an
with her.
amazing athlete.
She doesn't speak much English. You know, she hasn't lost a race in 4 years in any format, but she's never raced anyone who's even
Yeah.
close to the caliber of these athletes.
Yeah.
Racing against the heroes.
Yeah.
She had a little crash
It's just such a shame.
and then got up and kept going. Now, we've seen athletes with far more experience than that
Yeah.
have a little crash
Yeah,
and throw
and
their
so-
hands in the air.
yeah.
But she didn't. She got up.
No.
She was crying. She kept going. She finished 15th, scored a
Yeah.
championship point. You know, obviously, Tim had some choice words to say to look after her afterwards. But I just thought she showed some mettle. And I think she'll get better now as the series continues.
So you think a
Absolutely.
15-year-old athlete growing up will get better? You're a genius.
No,
You-
over the
you-
next 5 weeks, mate.
Yeah, she's
6 weeks.
When she's 17,
I think
18,
she will
19, she's gonna
continue to
better.
get older.
Oh, yeah, she's going to.
You know?
Of course, she's
Look,
going to get better.
She's got that.
Like,
she's got that special character about her. We know, Macca.
You know,
when
she's
you
a Mel
see-
Mitchell and Nicole Hackett type. Back in the old days in Australia, we had very
This is
young.
where Macca starts talking about people nobody
Yeah,
knows.
when you-
if they're Australian Olympians from the pre-2000, a young 15, 16-year-old girl in Australia did the same thing, and they grew as athletes because the talent's there. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And when you expose them to this type of racing at such a young age, and they perform the way they do, you saw it after that first swim. She had Alice Beto, who's in my team, 3-time Olympian, behind her. Like, I mean, wow. It's a huge thing for a 15-year-old. So I do tend to agree. It was a great first effort. And she's
I watched
only
a
going to get
documentary
stronger.
on her and her coach, and basically she wants to do more than the coach gives her, and that's always
That's the attitude.
That's the
Yeah.
sign
Yeah.
that we know, and that anyone I've ever coached, if you have to hold them back,
Well, that's the coach's.
They're destined to be champions.
Yeah, that's the coach's job.
That is their determination and their motivation they want it so badly, and that's what she's got in her DNA, and no one can take that away from her.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she's going to be the champion that
like
we
a
all believe
Brownlee.
she's going to be, as long as she's nurtured through, obviously, because it's still an age where, you know, you can get injured and you get sick and you can overdo it. But the coaches seem like they've got her on good reins, and I think that they're pulling her back and they're making sure that she does all the right training and everything. But her attitude is so mature for her age, and you know, she's such a strong athlete, swim, bike and run, that only Super League Triathlon Series is just going to enhance that and make her such, you know, a much, much better athlete as she moves on to, you know, the world stage, you know, in years to come. The experience that she's going to gain from Super League Triathlons is going to be tremendous. So I think, you know, it's so exciting to have her as part of the series. And, I think she did phenomenally well yesterday, like you said, for her first race, you know. And also, because Arena Games, we know she's done well, but you're out there, you know, your bike handling skills, those sharp corners. Do you ever get to do that in training? Probably not to that degree. I've seen her on a documentary going up and down cones, practicing and that, but it's not quite the same when the pressure's on. When that gun goes and you've got bikes around you and they're all cutting you off and all that kind of stuff, you've got to hold your line.
Yeah, when you look, you know, also you're riding on, and then suddenly you're like, oh, Katie Zafiris, and there's Taylor Spivey,
you've got to stay
that's
focused.
Beth Potter, and you're like, oh my god, and then the crowd is massive, and then the TV cameras and the drones and all that thing, like she's never uncovered anything like that before. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I have to imagine because I've never done it, but I can imagine that is very overwilling for someone who's that young.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, she's
Not
done it
bad,
once
not
now.
a bad pick. Well, actually, not a bad pick. When you first said it, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not bad.
Oh,
Actually,
championship point
when you
first, yeah.
unpack it, you're actually right.
Oh,
You unpack
that's the
it.
nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I sat there when you said it, I went, really?
Well, I'm
The
going to
reaction.
jump for my stock faller. You might not agree with this, but it's going to be a Scorpion, and I look back at what Verena Steinhauser has done in last year's series.
Yeah.
Finished 8th, 6th, 7th, 6th, 8th. Finished 12th yesterday. We didn't talk about her. She didn't figure. So I was thinking of her as who would lead the Scorpions.
I thought so too, I won't lie.
And Nicole ended up doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, she finished 9th, but she did figure a little more in the racing. I didn't see Verena Steinhauser yesterday. And I saw her yesterday before, and she said, I'm feeling good. I had a good sleep. I'm ready to go, blah, blah, blah. Just had her worst result. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, where is she at? I mean, we don't know now.
Yeah.
So she's the one with the experience in that team.
I thought the same thing. When we went into the team meeting, we saw her as our team leader, without question. She's a big biker, you know. And I think watching the race from the commentary box, we only saw the blue, so I couldn't see what was happening at the back of the field.
That's
because
what I can see.
we got
It's hard,
isolated,
yeah.
and you didn't, you know. So I'd love to unpack that with them, but yeah, it's a fair call. And she says she's in great form. She said she's ready to step up for the team. Even when Cassandra and others come back, she's ready to be a big player as a point scorer.
Like a team player and stuff.
Yeah, but I didn't see that yesterday. Hopefully, it's just, you know, when you come into that first round of the
I think
series,
the first round's hard.
it's so fast.
Yeah.
You've been racing.
It's a shock. It's a shock to
It's
the
so
system.
short, shock, bang, lactates through the roof. You've been racing Olympic distance events
Yeah.
and sort of.
And it doesn't
and
matter.
boom.
Yeah, because
blows your doors
it's
off.
true, because they're coming off massive Olympic distance.
Yeah.
You know,
Completely
season.
different energy system.
And no matter, even if they try to switch it up
Yeah.
to like really fast, short, stuff in training, you know, it's
You
not
nearly
enough.
said
You
really
need
fast,
that
short
race.
shit.
You need
can
that.
say that.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You nearly said really fast, short shit stuff.
Shit
You can
'em
say
up.
shit if you want. It's a podcast. It's
a
cool.
podcast.
No, but I mean, but it's
And
true.
it's the enduro format, first one out of the blocks, which we didn't have last year. Last year
Yeah.
it was and that enduro is a hard one. That second swim, third swim.
I just
my
saw
favourite
spit
one.
all over
It's by
people's
far
mouths
my
and-
favourite format. It should be more. Well, there are this year, there's two of them,
Yeah.
but there
Maybe
should
we
be
just
more
one day
enduro
just have
formats.
all enduros.
Yeah, it's the best
Oh,
format.
there's not two of them, is there? Not those.
Yeah. There's
another
not
enduro.
Those elastic bands.
Yeah,
again.
yeah, it makes
Oh,
we've
it's
got to
gonna
work the
keep having
technology.
nightmares over these
It
elastic
is the
bands.
best
I'll tell
format
you what.
because it exposes people that are
Yeah.
underdone very quickly.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
All right, we're nearly at the end of the podcast, but there's a couple other things we should pull out. We call this the breakdown, but this is basically, normally it's where Tim Don comes with 25 ideas about what he wants to talk about, and no one else bothers with an idea. But things that we haven't mentioned, and we'll talk about Toulouse before we go, but Marcus Day was an operator at the start of the race. Thought that was cool, and we didn't mention Reece Vanason from the Warriors,
Who took
who
the
ended
run
up taking the fastest run points
Yes.
with a 2-minute lap.
Wow.
Yeah, that guy can
But he
travel.
warmed up. No, he warmed up. You saw that, though. It was an instruction from team management to sit there, and he waited. He was going to get eliminated, but he went after the points. And I spoke to him at breakfast, the dinner last night, and he was saying, look, 8 points. Like, I'm not going to come, 11th on the rankings or 10th on the rankings. So that was a strict instruction
8
to
points
go.
is 7th, I think.
7th on the rankings, or 8th on the rankings, he said. He said, so that was my job in this team. So I swam easy in the back, biked easy. I was prepared to be eliminated for the points, but I needed those points, and he got them.
And that's what the team element needs to become.
Yes.
You know, it needs to have, as we say, 2 or 3 GC contenders and then role players. Like we pull out like Emma Jeffcoat from last year, perfect
totally.
example.
She
and
did
then
such
this
a
guy
good
on the
job.
run, same thing.
Yep.
The Warriors kind of surprised, I think, a little bit yesterday. Did they surprise you?
I think
I thought
they
the
did.
women were always going to be strong.
Yeah, the
'cause
women
there's a lot of
looked
experience
on paper,
there.
but then the men, we were
back.
like, nah, they're going to get smoked, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So
In lieu of the 60-second soapbox, because I think Mac has ranted enough already, I just want to talk quickly about Toulouse. We've got big names coming in.
Yeah.
Things are going to change. Complexion's going to change. Now, for the Sharks, no Beth Potter, no Sophie Colwell, no Alex Yee.
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
They're the guppies.
They are.
Sharks.
The goldfish now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we're going down.
the Eagles welcome back Leo Bergier, I think. Christian Blumenfeld's going to come back. Don't know what state he's going to be in. He's raced 11 times in the last 14 days. Matt Hauser comes back, and also Emma Lombardi. They all come in to the Eagles. That's an insanely good team. And then for you guys, the Scorpions, you've got Hayden Wild comes back if he makes it from Andorra, and Cassandra Bogran as well, both of whom are race winners from last year. Hayden obviously did that more than once. So the entire complexion of the teams is different. The Warriors stay the same, I think. They are the same 10 that they'll roll out, all Americans. There might be one change in one of the younger males, but there's a guy called Mark Dubrick, I think, who might come in, but we'll see how that looks. But it's going to be a completely different race. It's also a completely different course. I didn't go last year, but it looked amazing. The crowds turned out, and it's going to be completely different racing and plenty to look forward to, and you must be looking forward to getting back there again.
Oh, well, we are, without question. I guess we did expect Hayden to be here when we got the information prior to London that he wasn't coming. It was a bit of a downer. We had to build the team up again, but he's been heavily involved in the team. It's not that he's sitting in Andorra. He's been in the chat group, talking to the team, wishing them all the best, watching the coverage on live. And he said after the race, I can't wait to join you all in Toulouse. He's coming in ready to race. He knows he has to score points. And Hayden's a guy that knows Super League racing. He's a front runner. He can score points. He takes instruction well. That's going to be great. For us, with Cassandra last year, Toulouse was an okay race for her. It's very technical. And she got wobbled after Munich. I think she's going to come in with a lot of confidence after Paris, but we need to go on the points chase, and we're looking forward to bringing them back in. I think we get Leone in the team as well.
I think so. You're right. I missed
so
Leone.
That's worrying for us.
Yeah, well, they work well together. They're good friends, and they work well together. So.
Well, I think Cassandra also races better sometimes when Leone's there as well.
Yeah, totally.
Especially because she's going to be at home in Toulouse too, and maybe those wobbles from Munich and stuff when you saw what you did in Paris.
Yeah, they're done.
And also what you did in Hamburg as well. She was like super focused and killed it.
Like
maybe that's done.
She's been getting a little bit more English. She's moved away from that French camp. It's a year in Loughborough. It's hard training. You've trained in Loughborough with that British team.
It rains all the time.
Rains. She runs around. I was watching her run
around.
around.
If it's raining in Toulouse this year, she'll be sweet.
Oh, she loves that Paula Radcliffe Park. You run around. She used to run loops in Loughborough there. I see her doing all the laps there. I think that is a great move for her, and I think she's a completely different Cassandra than she was last year, and she'll be a completely different Cassandra. Just like you were talking about Fanny before, this is Cassandra Bogran. She's also evolving, a relatively young athlete.
She's dangerous when she's on,
Dangerous,
mentally. It
Dangerous,
because
I
physically
understand. She's the best in the sport when she's on.
And she's such a great swimmer.
Yeah.
You can obviously earn some good points. I don't want to, you already know this anyway, but Hayden, I think he's going to be hungry coming into this because he's a racer. That guy loves racing, and he didn't produce what he wanted to produce in Paris, obviously, because he had a fall beforehand. Is he? I know he might have been a little bit injured, but sometimes, when you freshen up, accidentally freshen up like this, like as a forced stress, they come back. People don't realise how important rest is in an athlete. I think athletes tend to overtrain, especially leading into Super. You've got to be super fresh.
Totally.
That is dangerous.
I think Hauser's going to play a
dangerous.
big impact too, and I think Hauser coming back with Tim's team will be a big impact because he sat on the sidelines and watched this one. I know he's just had COVID. I don't know how much that's going to affect him. It'll be a couple of weeks post, but I think that this format suits both those athletes. Even I think they can do a lot, and with Alex out.
Yeah.
it opens things up a lot more. I don't know about Christian. I'm with you. Christian is such a great racer. He continues to surprise me, so he's capable of doing anything. But at some point, you have to show that you're human. I think we saw a little bit of that last week at 70.3.
Did we just see that? And now is that done? Are we done with
Yeah,
that now?
yeah. Like it's.
But didn't you get a tummy problem or something?
Yeah,
in
after Singapore, they're saying.
Okay, well
I think
that's
a lot
going
of
to take a
people
lot
did.
out of you.
Yeah, Sam Long was that good in the
That's
70.3.
going to take a lot out of
Jason
you.
West got he's lost tons of weight. He got like
Really?
Singapore.
How do you do that? So
flu.
he just swam in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, beauty. Do you know where he dived in? I might go through. And
Have you seen the guy? He looks like this. He's this big.
I wouldn't mind diving in there myself.
Oh, wow.
I've been training. You wait and see.
We'll come in and
Huh?
I'll be like, Macca, Skeletor?
She's your licking.
Skeletor?
Yeah, you know, Singapore.
You've been training?
Rebecca comes into breakfast every morning. He's like, all we do is eat around here. Anyway, I'll
I
have
saw Macca's got
that
no
and
carbs.
that and that.
Yeah, hold on. You went from no carbs, the first plate this morning, to all of a sudden like, oh, MG, I'll have your plate and I'll have
Yeah,
the
what are you
carbs.
doing with that? Are you
And
gonna
I'll-
finish
and
that?
There's no carbs on it.
No, there was.
It was an omelette.
No, I saw underneath. There
Was it an omelette? It was
covered
made
in
only of
breadcrumbs,
cheese.
whatever it was. And I was like, I thought to myself, I thought he said he was having no carbs.
That's what's going wrong. I
Whatever.
thought telling myself, I thought I was having no
he was
carbs.
starving
It was
himself.
an omelette on a bed of hash browns.
There we go. Hash browns, no carbohydrate, whatever, Macca.
Well, there are some athletes here in London, and we all moved to Toulouse this weekend on the Sunday. Do not miss it. All the details, as always, on superleaguetriathlon.com. There's tons of digital content coming out as well, so make sure you check Instagram, especially. Very active on Instagram. But yeah, plenty to look forward to. Tons of storylines as well. Thanks, Macca, for coming on once again. Good to do this in 3D. You're so much more impressive in 3D than you are in 2D when I'm usually doing it on the computer. And Michelle, I hope that wasn't too painful for your first time.
I enjoyed it, actually.
Oh, good.
I enjoyed chatting
Well,
with
you
you
always
guys.
said you like talking about your own victories is your favourite topic.
Of course. I mean, if you put me in the hot seat again, if we had a really shocking weekend, I'll probably
Yep.
be all depressed like that.
See you next month. Oh, we'll see you next Monday then, won't we? All right, that'll do for the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Do not miss race number 2 in the 2023 series next weekend in Toulouse.